Neurological Disorders Lesson 2.5, What Can Go Wrong? The goals of this lesson are to demonstrate what can happen if the functions of different neuronal structures are disrupted, and to further explore the connection between structure and function at the neuronal level. At the end of this lesson, students should be able to predict how disrupting neuronal structures would disrupt neuronal function, and describe how disorders affecting specific parts of a neuron disrupt neuronal function. We'll achieve these goals through a Socratic discussion and a jigsaw with patient case studies. To prepare for this lesson, you'll need to review the key scientific concepts that we presented in it. They include the effects of damage to neuronal structures and functions, which requires a review of neuronal structure and function, and the symptoms, prognosis, and treatment for disorders caused by neuronal defects. The disorders we review in this lesson include congenital analgesia, hereditary spastic paraplegia, HSP, diabetic neuropathy, Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease, CMTD, multiple sclerosis, MS, and Alzheimer's disease. You can review the scientific content in the background reading provided to you in the teacher primer, the teacher manual, and the student workbook. The teacher primer provides in-depth knowledge about the scientific content presented in the lesson. The teacher manual or lesson plan provides a minute-by-minute explanation of lesson structure, including instructions on how to manage the discussion and activity, and the student workbook provides additional explanation for students. You'll need to be sure to print the Do Now worksheets, the jigsaw readings, and the jigsaw worksheets for your students. The key points of the lesson Do Now are to review the relationship between neuronal structure and function, specifically that dendrites receive information, the cell body maintains cell life, the initial segment processes inputs, the axon sends electrical signals and provides a transportation route, the synapse signals chemically, and myelin insulates the axon. Additionally, we'll predict symptoms of damage to any of these structures. We'll get there by labeling neuron structures and identifying their functions. You'll give students a copy of the Do Now worksheet, which uses the same image as is on slide number 2. The worksheet instructs students to label the parts of the neuron, describe the part's function, and brainstorm possible things that could go wrong, as well as symptoms that could result should those problems arise. The key points of the discussion are again to review neuronal structure and function. So the dendrites, the cell body, the initial segment, the axon, the synapse, and myelin, as well as to predict symptoms of damage. We'll get to these key points with a Socratic discussion. In the discussion, you'll use slide 3 to review the parts of the neuron and their functions. This slide is animated so you can display each structure function individually. Then you'll use slide 4 to brainstorm what could go wrong should different parts of the neuron be affected by disease. The key points of the activity are to explore the symptoms, prognosis, and treatments for disorders caused by neuronal defects. Those disorders include congenital analgesia, hereditary spastic paraplegia, HSP, diabetic neuropathy, Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease, CMTD, multiple sclerosis, MS, and Alzheimer's disease. We'll get to these key points with a jigsaw on case studies of disorders. In the activity, students will complete a jigsaw, which allows them to explore disorders caused by defects within our neurons. Those disorders, again, are congenital analgesia, diabetic neuropathy, multiple sclerosis, hereditary spastic paraplegia, Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease, and Alzheimer's disease. And caution, you'll want to be sure to double check that the jigsaw readings are all at an appropriate reading level for your students. To help students focus on the most important details of each of the case studies, give each student a jigsaw worksheet that has them take notes on those key points, which are the age of onset, the common symptoms, the neuronal defect, the prognosis, and the treatment for each disorder. You can review all of this information in the jigsaw worksheet answer key. It has everything organized just as your students will be organizing it. Additionally, the teacher primer and teacher manual go over all of these key scientific concepts about each of the disorders. The key points of the wrap-up are to review the symptoms, prognosis, and treatment for disorders caused by neuronal defects. Again, congenital analgesia, hereditary spastic paraplegia, diabetic neuropathy, Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease, multiple sclerosis, and Alzheimer's disease. We'll get to this key point with a teach back on the jigsaw. After the students have completed their jigsaw reading and taken notes on it, you'll organize a teach back in which students will teach each other about the case study and disorder they investigated. This could be organized as small group discussions or done as an entire class. During the teach back, you may choose to use slides 5 through 10 to help students focus on the neuronal defect occurring in each disorder. Each of these slides has a picture of the patient, as well as a picture to illustrate the science behind the neuronal defect. These pictures are included within each of the readings, but depending on the size of your class, may or may not be easily shared via the worksheets themselves. The key point of the homework is to explore how our choices change our brains. We'll get there by working on unit projects. In the unit projects, students work independently or in small groups to research, describe, and present to the class how the different choices we make can change our brains. See the project section on our website for more information about the project and sample assignments and rubric sheets. Additionally, now might be a good time to have a quiz on the material covered so far to assess your students' understanding. You can find sample questions and their answers posted online, which you can adapt for your classroom. This lesson tends to be a favorite for students within Unit 2 because they engage with the case studies. That said, students often ask for more details about the disorders and patient experiences. You can find more in the teacher primer, teacher manual, and student workbook. One of the most common questions teachers get is, what is it really like to have one of these disorders? One of the best ways to answer this question, beyond reading the case studies presented here, is to share some videos of patients living with these disorders. There are several available on YouTube, including clips from a documentary, A Life Without Pain, which profiles Gabby, the patient we profiled with congenital analgesia. We often wish not to experience pain, but the actual effects of not experiencing pain are quite complicated. At the end of this lesson, students should be able to describe the common symptoms, treatment, and prognosis for disorders caused by damage to neuronal structures. Students should also feel comfortable predicting effects of compromised neuronal structures and functions. Understanding neuronal structure and function is required to appreciate the symptoms, prognosis, and treatment for each of the disorders presented here. Additionally, this lesson expands on a theme of the module, the relationship between structure and function, and does it at a neuronal level. And don't forget, if you have any questions, concerns, or feedback, to let us know. You can contact any of the CTSE team members, and we'd be more than happy to help you.